How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with The Movie Castle, and today we're going to be continuing my Sharks of Summer series. For those of you guys who are new to the channel, I'm going to be doing a shark movie a week for the rest of summer, or, well, at least one. I do have quite a few shark movies, so I might do 2 or 3 some weeks, but shark movies for the summer, and I thought, hey, I'm doing shark movies, I should see what's up with Walmart, because if you don't know, Walmart has a lot of direct-to-video stuff. This is Wild Eye releasing. There's also RLJE, ITN, lots of companies that put out movies direct-to-video that you may have never heard of before, and there are some surprising stuff. But there's almost always going to be an Amityville movie. There's even more than that, almost always going to be a shark movie. So I thought I'd go down and see what shark movie was the current one right now, what direct-to-video shark movie, and that led me to Apex Predators from 2020, written, produced, and directed by Dustin Ferguson there, so one guy kind of manning the ship. And this stars Julianne Prescott, Mel Novak, and Brinke Stevens. Brinke Stevens, horror icon, Slumber Party Massacre, Nightmare Sisters, several other ones. Cool to see her in something. Always great to see a horror icon make a cameo. She actually plays a scientist. Reminded me a little bit of how Joe Dante brought in Barbara Steele to play a scientist as a brief part in Piranha. So maybe that's a thing. You do a low-budget shark movie, you gotta call up a horror icon to play a brief scientist role. I don't know. But anyway, this is, and I guess I should get into this, a micro-budget film. For those of you guys who have never seen a micro-budget film before, it may be a little jarring compared to what you're used to, but you're probably at least familiar with a low-budget film. Low-budget film, think The Asylum, notoriously low budget. That's a step up in budget from a micro-budget. Here you can tell there are certain things that they wanted to do and simply couldn't afford to do them, and it does make it suffer a little bit, and there is several trappings to a low-budget film, and even more to a micro-budget. So, those are in there, but I do want to say, I'm not a comedy teardown channel. I'm a channel that's about film analysis and looking at a film and talking about what works and what doesn't without trying to be overtly positive or overtly negative. So we're going to analyze this film, and, you know, low-budget stuff, micro-budget stuff, you gotta know what that is getting into it, and you gotta know what to expect. But also, before we get in, no major spoilers. I do want to say my piece on a few plot points, and I want to make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what this film's about. So let's go ahead and dive right in, although this isn't super plot heavy. We open up, actually the opening credits to this movie, the typeface, Cooper, same font that I use on my thumbnails, so that was kind of funny to see. But anyway, we open up with a shark attack in Tijuana, move up the coast, couple girls sunbathing in California, a shark also attacks them. So the sharks are moving up the coast, getting bigger and stronger and angrier. Why are they doing this? What's up? Well, we find out. Well, we move up the coast a little more to our main town where the movie's going to take place, and we meet a whole bunch of characters. And some of these characters are going to pick up on the shark attacks, and they're going to eventually come together and try and stop them. But I guess that should be what we mentioned first in the specifics. The characters in this, there's a lot of characters, a lot of meandering plot lines, and a lot of this stuff doesn't go anywhere. For your characters, main guy, his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend and her best friend, his father, he's estranged, he doesn't talk to his father super much. He's there. He's a businessman. And he's, of course, going to throw a big opening night during shark attack times. We've seen this before in Piranha and stuff. He's an insensitive businessman. And we get the crowd of characters around him. We also get the scientist crowd, Brinke Stevens, her assistant, this other scientist guy that's going to run around try to stop the sharks, a radio DJ, a couple of stoners, and a whole bunch of random people. Lots and lots of characters, and right there's a problem. Character balance. You get your main character, auxiliary characters, who for whatever reason have about as much screen time as the main character, and then on top of main character, all these auxiliary characters, murder vignettes. to coin a term from Friday the 13th. Murder vignettes, people who are only in one scene who show up just to get killed. There's all these auxiliary characters, and for most of the movie, it's just murder vignette people. You don't really feel like your main characters are in any real danger because it's other people getting killed. And you have a bunch of characters. You didn't really need murder vignette characters. You could have had them attacking the main cast. That would have worked out better. In turn, character shift, a little odd. I'd say cut out most of the murder vignettes, make the main character have a bigger part in the story, and auxiliary characters, still fleshed out enough to know them, but they should be the ones getting picked off. Also, several plot lines go nowhere. The main guy, his girlfriend, and then the ex-girlfriend. The ex-girlfriend has several scenes where she's mad at the main guy and his current girlfriend. Amounts to nothing at the end of the movie. There's one scene where it builds up to something, and maybe they wanted to do something more there and they had no budget. Overall, the ex-girlfriend easily could have been cut from the movie. Very little to do with anything that's actually going on. And there's a few plot lines like that. And the characters could have used some trimming, and the main character really needed to be fleshed out a lot more, because it's not even super clear that he's the main character for a long time. So you have that as a problem. It makes it hard to see what exactly the characters need to do. It doesn't feel focused, and it doesn't feel like I'm the characters, here's my goal. We've talked about Piranha a few times before, but Piranha, it was a race down the river movie. Have to stop the piranhas before they get down the river. Clear focus, that's your goal. Here, the characters aren't even being directly attacked. It's a lot of the side characters for most of the movie. It really does feel unfocused. What are the characters' goals? What are they trying to do to stop the sharks? And it's not focused enough there. And let's go ahead and talk about the sharks. Low-budget movie problems for the shark. If it was a higher budget, we could have gotten a CGI shark. It wouldn't look as good, but it would have at least done what the director wanted. Here, people in the water acting like they're getting attacked by sharks, intercut with stock footage of sharks. And that can be quite a problem. You go to a movie that has big sharks on the cover, about Eat This Lady. You want to see cool shark attacks, and there wasn't really the budget for that. If they had gotten a low-budget prop to have it actually interact with the actors, because that's a hard thing. And I've seen this a lot with low-budget shark movies. Get the shark to interact with your actors can be very hard, and if a low-budget prop wouldn't have looked good, but at least it can interact with people. And here, you can tell it's stock footage and people pretending to get attacked, and for those of you who it bugs, this does include waist-high water, which is kind of a thing that happens all the time in low-budget shark movies. So the shark itself is a problem. You want to see cool shark attacks, you want to see gore, you want to see crazy stuff. Not really what you're going to get with this movie, and that is directly due to the budget limitations. There are several other low-budget things as well. I mentioned the plots that go nowhere. You do get some crazy color grading. I think it's because they had to shoot outside during the middle of the day. Bright lights coming in from the sun. You can't afford to just shoot at golden hour. All the colors were really bright and crisp. Usually bad color grading, you get muddy colors. Here, kind of the other end, really bright, crazy colors there. And I did need to mention that. You also get acting problems that are common with low-budget movies, and I hate to harp on it because I know when you shoot a micro-budget film, you're pretty much just happy with whoever will show up. And you get, it's line-reading acting that is pretty standard for low-budget movies, but they feel more like they're reading lines than like they're acting. But I do want to say, this is better than a lot of line-reading acting, because a lot of line-reading acting is sit there, say your line, no emotion, but you got it said. Here, you can tell the actors are trying to put forth emotion and personality. It just still feels like line reading, but with that little bit of charisma, does help it stand above. But like, for example, a scene of low-budget movie acting, there's a creepy photographer guy, he's taking a photo of a couple models in swimsuits, and kind of a cringe scene, but you also get where he's clearly faking doing the camera. And I don't know, maybe he's supposed to be faking as a joke, but that really should have been clearer. But you do get to see him holding the camera, not looking at it, doesn't see what he's shooting, doesn't check his photos, and just moving the camera around, doing this. Probably most of the photos aren't even getting the girls in the shot if he was actually taking photos. So just holding the camera, doing this, example of the acting there. But that being said, there is some kind of charming stuff to the low budgets. It really does have that feel like it was shot guerrilla style, and I kind of have to wonder if all the people in this movie, how many of them didn't know they were in the movie. You know, you see a far away shot of a bunch of people at the beach, you're like, they just went down and shot that, and there is lots of charming stuff. And like I said, you know, if you've worked at all in movies, you can see, especially in low-budget films, like, okay, they're doing this because of this obstacle. You know, there's several things where if there's a stunt, they have to, you know, cut away and stuff. And, you know, that kind of can be a thing. And, you know, that's one thing, you know, I do want to address. You know, like, as far as who I'd recommend this movie to, because a lot of people, it is so low budget, they can do so little. They're not going to like it, but if you're film students, I think you really should look into stuff like this. A lot of people, if they're shooting film, they automatically think they're just going to wind up and go and be Hitchcock and stuff. But if you look at micro-budget films, you can see how stuff that you're going to encounter, how other people have faced these problems here, and you can be like, okay, they had to do something like we had to do. Here's how they did it work or not? And if you're into filmmaking, definitely check out several micro-budget films before your first feature. It can definitely be helpful. One thing I almost forgot to mention, 75 minutes, it says on the back, 8 minutes of credits. This is another one of these micro-budget films that struggles to get past an hour. And it's not as bad in that regard as some, because, you know, when you don't have a long film, they don't want to release it as part of an anthology, and you want to stretch it out to do a full film. A lot of people choose to add in filler, and this movie has that. It's not as bad as some of the filler I've seen, but it's definitely there. Like, stock footage, there's, I think, at least 2 times in the film, you get just, it feels like over a minute of stock footage of fish, and I kind of spaced out a few times because they just show fish for way too long. There's also a few walking scenes. Walking scenes are kind of standard fare to pad out low-budget movies, and you do get that there. I've seen low-budget movies, like I saw one that had over 5 minutes of just a really long walking scene. It's not that bad, and they spread it out throughout the movie, but a character goes somewhere, you really need just a quick establishing shot, but here you're going to get a few shots of them walking wherever they're going to go, and that is filler. That's just what it is. I wish if you needed more screen time to give it to your main character and think of something for him to do or think about and give us an excuse to get to know him better, but there is filler. I get why it's here, but that is there. As far as who I'd recommend this movie to, film students need to watch stuff like this to understand more about filmmaking, and there is micro-budget movie fans. If you're a micro-budget movie fan, this is an okay micro-budget film. It's not the greatest thing ever, and not the worst thing ever, and because you can actually tell that they cared when they make this, it does make this stand out a bunch above a lot of other micro-budget films. They tried, but they were, this really, it does have faults, but you can tell they tried, and I major props for that. And it's okay, but you want to see a cool, crazy shark movie. This is not really the thing, but, you know, like I said, I'm trying to make films too, and I can see, you know, how you struggle not having all the resources you need to thrive and do what you want, but props on them for making a movie and finishing it. You know, I'm doing shorts too. I did a short, and it actually just shot it a bit ago, and it's at the beach as well. And I haven't gone through the editing yet. I don't know how it's going to pan out, and might turn out to be bad. It's just one of these things. You know, if it's bad, at least you made something. Even if you can't do what you want to do, you gotta get on there. You gotta keep moving. You gotta make stuff. even if it's not perfect. So props to them for finishing the movie. I can tell there was effort, but yeah, it did struggle because this movie didn't get everything it needed to grow. But there is also the character and balance issue, loose plot threads, lack of focus, but hey, they made something, right? Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You're really helping the channel out. I'll put a relevant playlist on the bottom. Should be my shark movies playlist if you want to see more. You can click there to see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.